The stars above Earth looked peaceful that night from the surface. People saw them as tiny lights in the dark sky, unaware that something enormous was hiding among them, high above the planet. In the black silence of space, dozens of massive alien ships were gathered. They did not belong to any one world. They were the combined force of the Galactic Council, a government of many alien species, united under a single law. For centuries, the Council had ruled distant worlds. They claimed to bring peace and order, but peace often came at the cost of freedom. Civilizations that joined them were forced to obey their rules, pay heavy tribute, and give up their weapons. Now, the Council had decided that it was Earth's turn. In the capital city, the skies shimmered with strange lights. News channels everywhere switched to the same feed. A broadcast sent directly from orbit. A tall alien figure appeared on every screen. His skin was silver blue, his eyes black and cold, his voice deep and steady. This was High Chancellor Vryn, the leader of the Council. People of Earth, he began, speaking in perfect English, your time of isolation is over. The Galactic Council extends its protection to your species. You will surrender all advanced weapons, all military vessels, and control of your planet's orbital space. You will provide resources for the Council fleet and allow our forces to operate freely on your world. This is not a request, it is an order. Guests-filled living rooms, cafes, and control rooms across the planet. Some people stared at their screens in disbelief. Others shouted in anger. The broadcast continued. You have one standard cycle to comply, Vryn said. Failure to obey will result in swift and decisive action. Your species will not survive a conflict with the Council. We advise you to accept this generous offer of peace. The feed ended. For a moment, there was silence across the city. Then, voices rose in every corner of the world. On social media, some called for resistance. Others feared what might come. In many homes, families hugged each other, unsure of what the future would bring. Deep underground, far from the noise of the city, a small group of people watched the same broadcast in a secure command center. Bright screens covered the walls, showing images of the alien fleet in orbit. Radar lines traced the positions of each ship. At the center of the room stood Commander Lewis, a man in his early 40s with sharp eyes and a calm expression. He had seen war before, but nothing like this. His staff looked tense, waiting for his reaction. Instead of fear, Lewis gave a small, almost amused smile. They have no idea, he said quietly. Beside him, Dr. Mara, the head of Earth's top scientific division, folded her arms. She was a tall woman with steady eyes and a voice that carried authority. They think we're still climbing into space with old rockets, she said. They don't know what we've built. Round the table, officers and scientists exchanged glances. For decades, humanity had hidden its true progress. Public space programs showed only basic ships and slow exploration, but in secret. Research teams had created technology that no alien spy had ever discovered. Lewis tapped a screen, bringing up a diagram of a massive network hidden across the planet and beyond. Project Aurora, he said. Every piece is in place, every system is ready. A young officer leaned forward. Sir, are you saying we're going to fight them? Lewis shook his head. No, we're going to show them enough to make them think twice. If they want to test humanity, they'll find out we're not the prey they think we are. Mara's voice was calm, but her words carried weight. The Council believes they can scare us into surrender. They think we're divided, weak, and unprepared. That's their mistake. The command center was quiet again, but not with fear. With determination. Above Earth, the alien fleet continued to move into position. From the ground, some of the larger ships could now be seen with the naked eye, glinting like silver daggers in the night sky. In a small coastal town, a boy named Daniel stood on a hill with his grandfather, watching the strange shapes above. Are they here to help us? He asked. His grandfather's face was lined with tears, but his eyes were clear. No, lad, they're here to take what's ours, but they don't know who they're dealing with. In the capital, government leaders argued behind closed doors. Some wanted to begin negotiations, afraid of destruction. Others demanded immediate military action. But in the end, the decision was passed to the small group in the underground command center, the ones who truly understood Earth's hidden strength. Lewis leaned over the main console and gave the order. Prepare the Aurora network, power it up, but keep it cloaked. I want them to think we're just sitting here, waiting for their next move. Yes, sir, replied the technicians. Fingers flew over keyboards. Lights blinked on hidden panels. Far away, in deep bunkers and secret orbital stations, dormant systems began to hum to life. Energy readings spiked, but careful programming kept them invisible to alien scanners. Dr. Mara watched the readings climb. They'll believe we're just frightened and silent, she said. And when they make their move, they'll see the truth. Lewis nodded. Exactly. Let them think we're weak. The moment they cross the line, we'll show them why Earth smiles at ultimatums. Outside, night covered the city, but the streets were alive with conversation. People whispered, argued, and speculated. No one knew exactly what their leaders were planning. In orbit, High Chancellor Verne received reports from his fleet commanders. All scans showed the humans had not mobilized their military. To the Council, it seemed like surrender was already beginning. Good, Verne said, sitting back in his command chair. They understand what is wise. Tomorrow, we will land the first control teams within a week. Earth will be part of the Council's order. On the surface, Lewis stood before a large viewing screen, watching the alien ships drifting in formation. He could almost hear the confidence in their movements, but his own confidence was stronger. The Council believed humanity was an easy conquest. They were about to learn that Earth had been preparing for this day far longer than anyone guessed. And so, as the night went on and the alien fleet tightened its grip, Earth did not panic. Earth did not beg. Earth just smiled. The morning after the ultimatum, the skies over Earth were clear, but tension filled the air. News channels replayed the alien message again and again. Every headline carried the same question. Would Earth surrender or fight? In the underground command center, Commander Lewis stood with Dr. Mara before a large holographic map. The glowing display showed the alien fleet in orbit, each ship marked with shifting symbols. They have nearly surrounded us, Mara said, pointing at the slow-moving icons. If they complete the ring, it will be harder for us to move our ships unseen. Lewis studied the display, his jaw set. Then we move before they finish. A young officer named Paul leaned over his station. Sir, their scanners are sweeping every few seconds. They're searching for any military launch so far. They haven't detected anything unusual. That's because we've hidden our real assets where they'll never look, Lewis replied. Mara pressed a sequence of keys. The holographic map changed, now showing another layer beneath the alien markers. This layer revealed Earth's hidden network, underground silos, deep sea hangars, and orbital stations cloaked in fields that bent light and masked energy signatures. At the center of it all was Project Aurora. It was not one weapon, but a system of systems, powerful satellites linked to stealth drones, gravity anchors buried under the moon's surface, orbital decoys that could mimic entire fleets, and ships far faster and stronger than the Council could imagine, waiting in hidden launch bays across the planet. When they scanned us, Mara said, they saw only what we wanted them to see. Old ships, slow missiles, weak shields. They think they know our limits. But what they see is a shell, and the real core is here. Lewis gave a faint smile. And that's what will make them hesitate, while the command center prepared its strategy. Life on the surface carried on in unusual ways. Shops opened, children went to school. Farmers worked their fields. Many citizens felt fear, but most also felt something else. A strange confidence. It was as if they sensed their leaders were not caught unprepared. In a small research facility hidden beneath an old mountain range, technicians worked in silence. Long corridors glowed with cold white light as engineers checked panels and ran diagnostics. One of them, a quiet man named Harris, connected a final power conduit to a large device shaped like a ring. The ring hummed, its edges shimmering with faint blue light. Stabilizer field holding steady, Harris reported. Above them, the mountain looked untouched, its peaks covered in snow. But deep inside, that ring was the core of one of Earth's most secret defenses. A jump gate capable of launching ships instantly to the edge of the solar system. The Council had no idea such a thing even existed elsewhere under the oceans. Surface, a fleet of sleek, black ships rested in a massive dome-shaped hangar. The water outside pressed against thick glass walls, while inside, crews moved quickly. Checking systems, Captain Ruiz, leader of the submarine carrier Atlas, reviewed her orders. Remain on standby until Aurora gives the signal. The message. Read, back in orbit, the alien fleet moved slowly but confidently on the flagship. High Chancellor Vryn listened to a report from his intelligence chief. Our scans show no unusual activity, the alien officer said. Their energy usage remains stable. We have intercepted human broadcasts. Many of them are discussing surrender terms. They are unprepared. Vryn leaned back in his seat. Good. Let them waste their time arguing. When the cycle ends, we will disable their defenses and land our troops. This will be quick. But the Chancellor's confidence hit a dangerous assumption, that Earth was what it appeared to be. In the command center, Lewis was in a meeting with Earth's senior defense leaders. Around the table, maps, diagrams, and data flowed across. Large screens. We need to give them a reason to stop moving forward, Lewis said. If we wait for them to fire first, we'll be reacting instead of controlling the pace. Mar nodded. A controlled demonstration. Enough to make them think, but not enough to start a full war. What do you suggest? Asked General Tran, a tall man with a calm voice. Mar tapped the screen. We target their long-range scanners. The moment they realize their vision is gone, they'll slow down to figure out why. That buys us time to position our ships, Lewis added. And we keep the source invisible. They must believe the effect is a natural failure, or they'll respond to fast. Orders went out. In a hidden lab on the far side of the moon, engineers activated gravity pulse generators buried deep beneath the surface. Invisible waves began to spread into space, disrupting certain wavelengths that the Council used for scanning. Within minutes, on the flagship Orion, an alien technician frowned. Chancellor, our primary scanners are returning empty results. Vryn's voice grew sharp. Switch to backup systems. They are also experiencing interference. The technician said, we can still track their surface, but the resolution is blurred. Vryn's expression hardened. Find the cause. Now, on Earth, Lewis watched the alien fleet slow its approach. There, he said, pointing to the map. They're hesitating. Mar gave a small nod. That's step one. In the coastal town where Daniel lived, the boy noticed that the ships in the night sky seemed to have shifted. They're not moving as much, he told his grandfather. That means something's happening. The old man replied with a knowing smile. Meanwhile, deep in the Pacific, the Atlas received a coded signal, 3 short tones, Captain Ruiz's. Eyes narrowed. That's the standby alert. We're next, across the planet. The Aurora network pulsed with silent readiness. Its components, scattered in space, buried underground, hidden under oceans, waited for the signal to act. Lewis stood in the center of the command room, hands behind his back. As the alien fleet's movement slowed further, they still think they control the situation, he said. Let's make sure they keep thinking that. Right up until they realize they don't. Mare's voice was calm but firm. When we move, it has to be decisive. One mistake, and they'll come at us with everything they have. Lewis glanced at her. We won't make mistakes. Above them, the alien ships held position, their formation tight, but no longer closing the ring. From a distance, it looked like a pause. To the untrained eye, nothing seemed unusual. But to those watching from the command center, it was the first sign that the Council's confidence had been touched. In the coming hours, the hidden strength of Earth would step into the light, not fully, but just enough to make the most powerful government in the galaxy stop and wonder what exactly they had challenged. And far below the surface, the hum of Aurora's systems continued to grow, like the quiet breathing of something vast and patient, waiting for the moment to open its eyes. High Chancellor Vryn sat in the command chair of the Arion, the largest ship in the Galactic Council fleet, through the wide view screen. He could see Earth below, blue oceans, white clouds, green lands, a beautiful world, but in his mind, a fragile one. He was certain this mission would end quickly. In the past, worlds that resisted the Council had been crushed in days. His advisors had told him that humans were bold but scattered, still divided into many nations. Too busy with their own disputes to stand together, he trusted those reports. Yet something small had begun to bother him. The humans had not replied to his ultimatum. No angry threats, no desperate pleas, not even an offer to negotiate. Silence, and in that silence, there was something he could not quite read. On the other side of the fleet, Commander Selvig, one of Vryn's closest officers, was speaking to the intelligence division. "Have we confirmed their military readiness?" he asked. A young alien technician responded, "Yes, Commander. Their energy readings remain low. No large fleet movements, no significant launch activity. All signs suggest compliance or hesitation." Selvig nodded. "Then the Chancellor's judgment stands. They will bend soon." But in the corner of the control room, another officer spoke quietly. "Sir, there's one detail. Our scanners are still having trouble with certain wavelengths. It is minor, but unusual." Selvig dismissed the comment. "It is interference from their planet's magnetic field. Nothing more." Back on Earth, in the underground command center, Lewis was standing beside Dr. Mara as the holographic map showed the alien fleet's movements. The ring around Earth had stopped tightening. Some ships had even adjusted their position slightly. As if uncertain, "They are being careful now," Mara observed. Lewis nodded. "They have confidence. But they are not blind. The interference we gave them is making them wonder." In another part of the city, a meeting was being held between representatives of different governments. They were connected through secure video links, all listening to a briefing from the Defense Command. Most of them were seeing the classified map for the first time. With Earth's hidden network revealed, many looked shocked. "So you are telling U.S., one leader said, "that our public fleets are a fraction of what we actually have?" Lewis's voice was steady. "That is correct, for decades. We have kept our true capabilities hidden to avoid drawing attention from powers like the Council. That decision is why we are prepared now." Another leader leaned forward. "And your plan is to what?" "Scare them into leaving," Mara answered. "Not scare. Convince. The Council is not here for war if they can avoid it. They prefer to take control without losing ships. If we can make them believe that taking Earth would cost them heavily, they will look for another way." Far above, in the Orion's war room, Vryn studied the reports again. "They are quiet, too quiet," he muttered. "Perhaps they are waiting for our landing forces." His military advisor, General Rask, stepped forward. "If I may, Chancellor, a show of force would push them towards surrender. We could disable one of their satellites, disrupt their communications, and demand an answer." Vryn considered the suggestion. "Yes, let us remind them who holds the power here. Target one of their orbital stations. No casualties. We do not want them to think we are here to destroy their world." Orders went out. In the command center on Earth, alarms suddenly lit the screens. Paul, the young officer, turned toward Lewis. "Sir, one of our old communications satellites has been locked by their targeting systems." Lewis frowned. "An old one?" "Yes, sir. The one over the southern hemisphere. It's not connected to our main network anymore." Mara's lips curved into a faint smile. "They chose exactly what we wanted them to choose." Lewis gave a short nod. "Good. Let them take it. But as soon as they fire, start phase 2 of Aurora." A moment later, a thin beam of light from one of the Council ships struck the satellite. It broke apart in a silent flash, fragments scattering into the void. On the Arion, Vryn sat back, certain this would bring the humans to the table. But, on Earth, no response came. Instead, something strange began to happen to the Council fleet. Ships at the edge of formation suddenly reported navigational errors. Their thrusters flickered. Small, precise gravitational shifts tugged them off course, forcing them to correct repeatedly. On the Arion, the fleet's navigation officer looked alarmed. "Chancellor, Several of our ships are experiencing interference. We are detecting artificial gravity anomalies, but the source is unclear. Is it the planet? Vern demanded. No, sir. The anomalies are coming from the moon, in the command center. Mara watched the holographic display. They are feeling the pull. She said, the gravity anchors are active, just enough to make them uncomfortable. Lewis kept his eyes on the data. Do not push too far. We want them uneasy, not desperate. The more they think this is some environmental oddity, the longer they will hesitate. In coastal towns, cities, and farmlands, life continued. People saw the strange ships above, but they also noticed something else. The aliens were not moving closer anymore. It was as if an invisible line had been drawn in space. That evening, in the small town where Daniel lived, he pointed at the sky. Grandpa, look, they're stuck. The old man chuckled. Not stuck, lad. Just thinking about their next step. Inside the Arion, Vern felt a flicker of irritation. Why have they not answered us? Destroying that satellite should have made them act. General Rast shifted uneasily. Perhaps they do not value it. Perhaps they are waiting for something. Vern narrowed his eyes. No, they cannot possibly have the strength to face us directly. Continue preparations for ground deployment, but keep scanning the moon. I want to know what is there. Lewis, hearing the same reports through intercepted transmissions, gave a short laugh. Now we have their attention on the moon, which means they are not looking at where the real pieces are moving. In the depths of the Pacific, Captain Ruiz received her second coded signal. She stepped to the center of her bridge. Prepare to rise. Silent engines only. Keep under their detection net. The Atlas and its sister ships began moving through the dark waters, heading toward deep-sea launch bays. That would take them closer to the Council fleet's blind spots above. The alien fleet was still confident, but small cracks had begun to appear in their certainty. They believed they still held control. Yet the rhythm of the battle was slowly shifting, not with weapons, but with patience and precise moves, and in the shadows of that patience, Earth's smile was only growing wider. In the underground command center, the air felt heavier than usual. Dozens of screens glowed on the walls, showing both Earth's hidden forces and the alien fleet above. The alien ships were still holding their position, but their formation was shifting slowly. They were trying to scan the moon, hunting for the source of the strange gravity disturbances. Commander Lewis stood near the central display. His hands were clasped behind his back, his eyes moving from one data feed to another. They are distracted. He said, this is the moment we take the first step. Dr. Mara stood beside him. Her calm voice carried a quiet confidence. Aurora systems are at full readiness. All we need is your order. Lewis looked toward the operations pit, where technicians sat ready at their consoles. Phase 3, he said, dot across the planet and beyond. A chain of hidden systems began to activate. In the deep Pacific, Captain Ruiz and the Atlas fleet reached their launch bays. Massive gates opened silently beneath the water, revealing smooth tunnels that rose toward the surface. Ruiz gave her order. Silent ascent, maintain stealth fields, no bright signatures. The black ships moved upward like shadows in the sea, their hulls bending light so they blended into the water around them. As they rose, their communications linked to satellites. In high orbit, satellites that the Council still believed were inactive. Above the moon, 3 cloaked drones drifted into position behind the outer ring of the Council fleet. Their surfaces were dark and cold, radiating almost no heat. Slowly, they extended their antenna arrays. Each drone carried an EMP generator, not powerful enough to destroy ships, but strong enough to temporarily blind their sensors. Mara's voice came over the command center speakers. Drones in position, awaiting confirmation. Lewis didn't hesitate. Activate. In the silence of space, there was no sound when the EMP burst hit, but on the Arion, alarms rang out instantly. Chancellor, we have lost targeting data on sectors 4 and 6, reported the fleet's tactical officer. Vern turned sharply. What caused it? Unknown. Systems are rebooting. We are running diagnostics. 2 more ships reported the same problem. The Orion's view screen flickered for a second before stabilizing. Vern's jaw tightened. Increased security. Scans. Someone is tampering with our systems. Back on Earth. Lewis watched the alien fleet's formation change. Small gaps opened as the affected ships slowed down to recover. That's it, Lewis said quietly. They will not realize what happened. They will think it's a fault in their own systems. Mar gave a slight smile. And in those gaps, we move from the Pacific. The Atlas fleet surfaced under the cover of night. The water around them rippled quietly as their stealth engines came online. They rose into the sky without a roar, their vertical launch systems pushing them toward low orbit. Captain Ruiz checked her instruments. Stealth readings are green. The Council will not see us unless they are within 1,000 kilometers. One by one, the ships slipped into space, using debris fields and shadow zones to mask their movement. Their goal was not to attack yet, only to position themselves where they could strike the moment the signal came. Meanwhile, in a desert region on Earth, an old-looking communications tower flickered to life. It had been abandoned for years, or so it appeared. In truth, it was the control hub for a series of long-range pulse satellites that could send directed beams of information through tight channels. Invisible to casual scans, Lewis gave the next order. Send them a message. The pulse satellites transmitted a short signal to the Arion. It was only one word. Noted dot on the alien flagship. Vern stared at the translation on his screen. Noted, that is all. General Rast frowned. It is not the response of a frightened people. No, Vern agreed slowly. It is the response of someone who believes they have a choice in the command center. Paul let out a quiet laugh. Sir, they look confused. That's the point, Lewis replied. Confusion buys us more time. Over the next hour, the alien fleet remained on alert, their scanners sweeping in wider arcs. But every time they tried to focus on a particular sector, they found static or interference. The drones behind them continued to release faint pulses, never enough to be traced directly, but always enough to cause minor errors on the far side of Earth. In a hidden orbital station disguised as a piece of space junk, crews prepared a weapon, known only as the Lumen Array. It was not designed to destroy. It was designed to show power without bloodshed. When fired, it could create a beam of pure light energy visible across space, cutting through darkness like a star being born. Mara explained the plan to the Council of World Leaders via secure link. We will fire it past their fleet, not at them. It will be a controlled demonstration, a reminder that we can project force far beyond what they expect, Lewis added. They have never seen this technology before. They will not know if it is a weapon or a signal, and that uncertainty will keep them cautious. At the designated time, the Lumen Ray charged from the disguised station. A narrow beam of light shot across the void, so bright it was visible even from the surface of Earth. It passed just beyond the Arion, its glow washing over the alien hulls before disappearing into deep space. On the flagship, Vern's eyes widened. What was that? The science officer replied, a known energy type. No known weapon in our database matches it. The beam did not strike us, but the power output was extraordinary. Vern turned to Rask. Where did it come from? We cannot pinpoint the source, Rask admitted. The signature faded immediately. After the beam ended, Vern leaned back, his expression darker than before. So they do have secrets. Back in the command center, Lewis watched as the alien fleet held position even more cautiously than before. They are thinking, he said. Mar nodded. The longer they think, the stronger we get. In the small coastal town, Daniel had seen the beam of light in the sky. Grandpa, was that us? He asked. The old man smiled. Yes, lad. That was us saying we are not to be taken lightly and above the planet. In the quiet spaces between stars, Earth's first move had been made. Not with destruction, but with precision and control. The game had truly begun. The silence in the Galactic Council's flagship, Arion, was heavy and tense. The once confident fleet commander, High Chancellor Vern, stared at the large view screen. The steady blue planet below showed no sign of fear or surrender. Instead, something new was rising, a quiet power no one had predicted. Report. Vern demanded, voice sharper than before. Our ships near the moon are reporting severe gravitational distortions, the tactical officer said. Navigation systems are malfunctioning. Some vessels are losing control momentarily. Vern clenched his fists. How long until this interference stops? Unknown, Chancellor. The source appears artificial, inconstant. A murmur spread through the bridge. The Council fleet had never faced such a problem before. Their advanced ships, designed for deep space and complex battlefields, were struggling in Earth's own backyard. Meanwhile, deep below Earth's surface, Commander Lewis watched the Council fleet's disruptions with a quiet satisfaction. On a massive holographic map, red markers blinked over the affected alien vessels. Our gravity anchors are working exactly as planned, he said. Dr. Marr nodded. They expect space to be empty, simple. But space near Earth is our domain. We control it with physics they don't understand. Above the Pacific Ocean, Captain Ruse's submarine fleet hovered silently in low orbit, hidden by stealth fields. In the planet's shadow, she checked her instruments carefully. Ready to move when you give the order, she reported. Lewis glanced at Mara, then at the tactical displays. Not yet. Wait for the Council to fully realize their problem. On the Arion, panic was starting to rise. Ships that had been disabled began drifting dangerously close to each other. Collision warnings flashed, and emergency thrusters fired to avoid crashes. The once flawless formation was unraveling. In the fleet's communication channel, an officer called out, Chancellor, several vessels have lost power. We are struggling to maintain formation. Vern's eyes narrowed. Prepare to activate defensive protocols. If they intend to trap us, we will fight our way free. Back on Earth, a hidden control station activated a series of low-frequency pulse generators. These pulses traveled silently through space, designed to lock onto the alien ship's gravimetric sensors and confuse them further. Every ship affected, Lewis said calmly. We control the battlefield now. In orbit, the Council fleet fought to regain control. One of the disabled ships, the Sarek, suddenly went offline and dropped out of formation. It drifted toward Earth's atmosphere, causing alarms throughout the command chain. Vern shouted, bring her back online. Do not let her fall into the planet's atmosphere. Despite their efforts, the Sarek crossed the line. Atmospheric friction burned its outer hull, and the Council's forces could only watch helplessly as it descended rapidly. On Earth, people near the landing site watched the streak of fire burn across the sky. Daniel stood with his grandfather, eyes wide. Is it a shooting star? Daniel asked. No, his grandfather replied softly. It's a sign. The fight has begun. Inside the command center, Lewis allowed himself a rare smile. They will be cautious now, but the real test comes next. Mara turned toward him. The Council will send a response. They cannot back down after losing a ship. Hours later, the Arion sent out a transmission to Earth. It was clear and firm. This is High Chancellor Vern. The Council demands immediate surrender. Failure to comply will result in full military action. Lewis replied, not with words, but with action. He ordered the Aurora network to activate its hidden fleet. In an instant, dozens of Earth's stealth ships launched from their hidden bases, from underground bunkers, deep-sea hangars, and cloaked orbital stations. They moved like shadows through space, unseen by most but deadly. Captain Ruiz led her submarine fleet into higher orbit, their engines silent, ready for orders. She reported. Lewis nodded. Hold formation. Wait for my command. The Council's ships scrambled to respond, but their sensors were still scrambled by Earth's gravity traps. Their weapons could not lock on properly. On the Arion, Vern's face showed growing frustration. How can this be happening? They have technology we never expected. One officer answered. They have been hiding their strength, Chancellor. We underestimated them. Lewis watched the Council's confusion and knew it was the moment to push further. Prepare to activate the next phase, he said. On the moon, hidden bases powered up advanced systems that sent out beams of controlled energy. These beams formed invisible nets in space, designed to trap ships and prevent them from escaping the battle zone. The Council's fleet suddenly found itself caught in a web of gravity and energy traps. Their engines slowed, Their weapons faltered, and their formations broke apart. Vern's command was desperate. Break free. Use all power. Do not let Earth control us. But the more they struggled, the tighter the traps became. In the command center, Lewis smiled and turned to Mara. They will never forget this day. Mara's eyes gleamed. Earth's smile is no longer a mystery. It is a warning, far away. In the shadow of the galaxy, the news spread quickly. The strongest fleet in the Council's history had been stopped cold by a planet they thought weak. And on Earth, the people celebrated quietly, knowing their fight had only just begun. But at this time, they had the power to protect their home. The Galactic Council's flagship Arion hovered tens of thousands of kilometers above Earth, its massive hull reflecting the blue planet below. High Chancellor Vern stood silently on the bridge, watching the peaceful surface his fleet had faced. Something they did not expect, a strength hidden deep within Earth's defenses. For the first time in decades, the Council felt unsure. Chancellor, General Rast said quietly, stepping forward, our fleet is holding, but the traps on the moon and the hidden weapons in orbit have cost us dearly. We cannot break free by force alone. Vern nodded, rubbing his temples. We cannot risk total war. If we lose more ships, the Council's reputation will be shattered. We must find another way. On Earth, Commander Lewis stood with Dr. Mara. In the underground command center, they monitored the Council's movements closely. The alien ships had stopped aggressive maneuvers, but remained wary, maintaining their positions. They are reconsidering their plans, Mara said softly. Our defenses have made them respect us. Lewis smiled. It's time to offer peace, but on our terms. A secure communication channel opened between the Arion and Earth's command center. Vern's voice was calm but cautious. Commander Lewis, the Council requests a meeting. We wish to discuss terms of peace and cooperation. Lewis glanced at Mara. This is our chance. Prepare the delegation. Days later, in a remote valley on Earth, away from the eyes of the world, the two sides met. The Council's leaders arrived in sleek, silent ships. Stepping onto soil for the first time in years. Lewis greeted them firmly. We do not want war. We want respect and equality. Vern's expression was unreadable. The Council desires order. We believed your planet was weak and divided. We were wrong. Mara stepped forward. Earth has always been strong, but we chose to show only what was necessary. Now that we have your attention, we invite you to see who we really are. Over several days, the two groups shared knowledge. Earth revealed some of its technology ships capable of incredible speed, weapons that could disable without destruction, and defensive systems that protected the planet and its neighbors. In return, the Council spoke of the vast network of worlds. Under their influence, they told of peace enforced by law and the dangers of rebellion. They explained the reasons behind their order: fear of unknown power, desire for control, and a hope to avoid needless conflict. Slowly, trust grew. Lewis watched the Council leaders as they began to understand that humanity was not a threat to be crushed but a potential ally. Vern admitted, your people have strength and spirit unlike any I have seen. Mara added, we can work together. Our strengths combined could bring stability to this part of the galaxy. The Council's position shifted from conqueror to partner. Outside the valley, Earth's citizens continued their lives, unaware that history was being made in those quiet talks. News spread carefully, no celebrations, no demands, just cautious hope. Back on the Arion, Vern prepared a message to the Council. We will recommend Earth's membership, but it must be on their terms. Lewis knew this was only the beginning. The Council might accept peace, but vigilance would remain. Earth had shown its strength, but it would also need wisdom. As the meeting ended, Lewis looked at Mara. We smiled at their ultimatum. Now we have their respect. That is worth more than any battle. Mara nodded, and the galaxy will remember. The day Earth stood firm, the sun rose slowly over Earth, casting a warm glow across oceans and mountains. The world had changed, but the people went about their daily lives, unaware of the importance of this new day. Above the planet, the alien fleet still hovered, but it was no longer a threat. Instead, the ships began to withdraw. moving away from Earth with a quiet grace. The Galactic Council had accepted a new reality. Humanity was no longer a subject to be ordered or controlled. In the underground command center, Commander Lewis stood watching the departing fleet on the large screen. Round him, the staff exchanged smiles and quiet nods. "We did it," Lewis said simply. "We made them see us." Dr. Mara joined him. "Not just see, but respect. That is the greatest victory." A soft chime announced an incoming message. Lewis opened it carefully. It was from High Chancellor Vryn. To the people of Earth and their leaders, the message began. The Galactic Council recognizes humanity as a sovereign power. We welcome Earth as a member of the interstellar community. We look forward to cooperation and peace. The words were more than a message. They were a promise of a new future. In cities around the world, news stations broadcast the announcement. People gathered in streets and homes, faces lighting up with hope and pride. For years, Earth had hidden its true strength. But now the galaxy knew that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. Meanwhile, on the Arion, Vern reflected on the long journey. He had underestimated humanity's spirit and resolve. They smiled when threatened, he said to his advisors, and that smile was a warning. "We must learn from this." Back on Earth, Lewis addressed his team. "Our work is not done. We have peace, but we must build on it. We will share our knowledge and protect our home. The galaxy is vast and full of unknowns. We must be ready." Mara added, "We will also offer help where we can, to allies and to those who seek peace." Across Earth, preparations began for the first official embassy to the Galactic Council. Scientists, diplomats, and soldiers worked together to prepare. The planet's representatives dot in the quiet town where Daniel lived. He looked up at the sky filled with stars. His grandfather smiled beside him. "You see, lad," he said, "we did not surrender. We smiled." And that smile changed everything. The stars above Earth seemed brighter now, full of promise and adventure. Humanity had faced the greatest challenge and had risen stronger. As Earth's ships launched for new missions among the stars. Lewis knew one thing for certain. This was only the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where Earth would stand tall, not as a subject, but as a proud member of the galactic family. The galaxy had ordered Earth to surrender. Earth had smiled, and the smile had changed the course of history.